right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Buckeye Board of Education, regular meeting, Tuesday, July 9th, 7:25. Sorry for the late start here. Roll call, please.
Barco?
Here.
Kunkelman?
Here.
Manson?
Here.
Havarti? Here. Stahl?
Here.
And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission statement of the Buckeye Local Schools is to empower students to excel in a highly competitive society. Meeting agenda statement. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Approval of minutes. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the minutes for the regular meeting of June 11th, 2019, and the special meeting of June 24th, 2019. A motion, please.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any questions or comments about those minutes? Roll call.
Barco?
Yes.
Havarti? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Manson?
Yes.
Kunkelman?
Yes. Recommendation statement. Following are recommendations that have been identified for approval as part of the consent agenda for this meeting. If a board member wishes to remove any item from this agenda for further discussion prior to taking action, please let either the superintendent or board president know. We have, we have removed 12D, the Buckeye High School Handbook, and 12F, approval of sealed paving project bid, from the agenda this evening. Approval of consent agenda. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the consent agenda of July 9th, 2019 as presented. A motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And I made the comments about the things that are being removed from the agenda. Roll call, please.
Barco?
Yes.
Havarti? Yes. Manson?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Kunkelman?
Yes. Treasurer's report.
Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education accept the Treasurer's report as presented, including all internal budgets, amended certificates, and appropriations to the county auditor as on file in the Treasurer's office. A copy of the documents are attached to the board members' agendas as Appendix A. Then we're going into the final ending appropriations and the starting appropriations for this fiscal year. So final appropriations and amended certificate of estimated resources. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the final appropriations and amended certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 19 as presented. A copy of the documents are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix B. Permanent appropriations and amended certificate of estimated resources. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the permanent appropriations and amended certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 20 as presented. A copy of the documents are attached to the board members' agendas as Appendix C. And then I have a correction for the transfer. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the treasurer to transfer the following updated amount approved at the June 24th, 2019 Board of Education meeting. It was $175,000 from general fund to athletics. Any questions? There was a lot of great reading material, I know.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sending it out earlier.
High on it, yes, thank you.
We might have put you to sleep.
No, it was good. It was good reading.
Cure for insomnia.
Entertain a motion on the treasurer's items.
I so moved.
Second.
Second.
Any question or comment on those items? Thank you again for the update, kind of summarizing things. That's very helpful.
Yes.
I was trying. It was a lot, and there'll be a lot coming on the 25th too.
Roll call.
Havarti?
Yes.
Manson?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Barco?
Yes.
Kunkelman?
Yes. Public participation. The public is invited to speak to any of the agenda items and other school topics. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Direct questions will not be answered by the Board of Education members at this time. However, answers will be given at a later date as appropriate. Is there anyone who wishes to speak this evening? Yes, I can see your hand, but
You can
not
see
your
me.
face.
I'm back. Hello. Good evening. I'm Claire Conley. Again, I'm over on Stone Road. My 2 children are enrolled in Buckeye. As I spoke last month about Latchkey, hopefully you were able to look through some of what the other districts were doing. Look at what they have set up as they are, again, self-sustaining Latchkey programs. What I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about is the cost of childcare, because I know you hear about how expensive it is, and you hear rumblings out in Congress about this universal childcare, but that hasn't happened yet. So I went ahead and I did a little research for you. I called around to some of the places that were recommended at kindergarten registration. Only 2 places called me back out of the 6 that I believe that were on that sheet. So the 2 places that called me back were the Buckeye Christian Academy right across the street, and then the KinderCare South, which is in downtown Medina right by Dairy Queen. That gives you a point of reference. So in talking to those 2 locations, the cost of childcare, and this is just for 1 child, for the Buckeye Christian Academy, it's $150 per week, plus registration fees. So for 1 child to go there per week throughout the whole month, it'd be $600 a month. It's a lot of money. For KinderCare, again for 1 child, it's $110 per week. So for 1 child to go there, it's $440 for the month. Then I looked at some of the latchkey programs that I'd given you, and I even looked up Highland because they're a pretty comparable district population-wise. So for Highland, what they charge is $8 per session. So for 1 child to go there once a week would be $40 for the week, which is $160 for the month. So you would be paying for latchkey at Highland for a whole month what you're paying once a week for Buckeye Academy across the street. And then for St. Francis, again, the parochial school attached to us, it's $10 per session. So again, for 1 child, 5 days a week, that's $50 a month. That's only $50 a week, excuse me, that's $200 a month. So again, a whole month is what you would be paying for a week's care at some of these other recommended locations according to what was handed out at kindergarten registration. So when you think about that huge difference, that's a lot of money that we could be spending on football games or basketball games or cheer camps or baseball camps that we're spending in childcare for an hour or an hour before or after school that we could be reinvesting back into the district. I know I would be reinvesting. I love going to the football games and my kids love it. My daughter wants to do cheer and soccer and all those wonderful things. But if I'm shelling out a mortgage payment in addition to my actual mortgage payment for childcare, we're not going to be able to do those things. Or send in Kleenex in February when everybody is sick and needs the Kleenex. Or send in the Clorox wipes when teachers need them in February when everybody is sick. So we can't reinvest back into the district when we're spending all this money elsewhere for an hour of care before or after school. So please, please, please consider these numbers and how much it's costing us as parents and as voters into something that we could be giving back to the district to help our students. So if you would like, I can email all these numbers out to you. Morgan, I know you and I email back and forth pretty regularly, but I hope you're able to look at some of the recommendations of the other districts and what they were doing, and please consider something like that for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I still have your handouts in my folder, so I'm definitely
They're there.
interested.
Could I just ask you one question? Do you
Sure.
know if the time, I know it was between like 2 to 2.5 hours in latchkey times per
Mhm.
session that you share with us, do you know if that's comparable? Is that time like maybe a 3 or 4 hour for latchkey at the private groups?
So what I have researched in those 2 locations is it starts at 6:30 in the morning. And then because they will bus or they will van the students to Buckeye, they would be leaving there to get here around 8 o'clock. So it's about an hour and a half.
And then afternoon?
For after school, I didn't look at the after school because my concerns are before school. But they will go as late as, like I think St. Francis was 5:30 for after school care. And then after that, they charge you a certain amount for every 10 minutes that you're late.
We were 5:30 when we did it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Morgan, superintendent's informational items.
Yes, we have two administrative presentations today. Our first up is Mr. Harrington to recap our Buckeye spring sports.
I get to be a game show host with
Yeah.
with the board? All right.
When the points double, Mr. Harrington,
Which one
the
do
game is
I,
on.
that's how, I've done that before.
Just the right and left buttons, I'm pretty sure.
Just these two? All right. So, talk a little bit about our spring athletics update. Everybody can see. Our first two images and the last one that you'll see, I'll explain where they come from at the end.
refresh it.
This isn't just part of the spring, this is all of our seasons, fall, winter, and spring. We clinched the All Sports Cup for the 11th time in the last 14 years. So that will be in our trophy case forever now. That was, I think, when I did our winter wrap-up, I said, we want to make sure we have that thing forever, and our spring sports finish the job, and we get to hang on to it. So congratulations to all of our athletes and coaches. This picture is from up on the hill behind the baseball field. This was a picture of our first ever tournament win, sectional championship against Bay on our new field. So I just included that in there for everybody. And then, flashback to earlier in the year, this is our ribbon cutting ceremony. See, the grass is a little greener in the first picture compared to this one, but that also, I thought, went really well. We had a lot of people contribute to that, both in our district and outside of our district and our community. So I wanted to mention all of them again and say thank you. Our baseball team won 20 games this year. They had a team GPA of 3.206. Couldn't quite overcome our nemesis Keystone in the district semifinals, but our kids fought really hard. We had some really good individual accomplishments. Adam Mattress was first team All-Pac and All-District, second team All-Ohio. One of the best honors a high school baseball player can receive is the Mizuno Game Alternate. He was also a Northeast Ohio Baseball Coaches Association All-Star and All-Gazette. So tremendous senior year for him, both in soccer and baseball. Elijah Walker was first team All-Pac and All-District, and also a second team All-Ohio. Jake Case, second team All-Pac, All-District, also Northeast Ohio Baseball Coaches Association All-Star and All-Gazette. Here's a picture of our players with Coach Wolf, who was also selected to coach in the game. They got to play at Canal Park down in Akron. So that was a great experience for our kids. Colin Wright was second team All-Pac. Max Wilson was honorable mention. And then we had a few academic All-Ohio, the best award, in my opinion, Adam Mattress, Derek Thomas, and Mason Clutter. So congratulations to them. That one might be a little bit out of place, so I'll go back to it. Softball, All-Pac, first team Claire Mawhinney, who's going on to play Division II softball at Walsh University. Second team, Alyssa Beckett and Katie Clark, and honorable mention Mackenzie Mazar. Honorable mention for the Gazette, Claire Mawhinney, Katie Clark, and Alyssa Beckett. And then they had an outstanding team GPA of 3.547. And for a pretty young team, they were 15 and 12. So I think we're going to have some really good things coming in the years to come from our softball program. Our girls track had an outstanding season. They missed first place by 1 point. So they were right there. Madison Mears was first place in the pole vault. Brooke Franz, Morgan Sechka, Faith Krakowski, Maddie Rocheville were first in the 4x8. Natalie Huger, Brooke Franz, Maddie Rocheville, and Morgan Sechka were first in the 4x4. And you see all these first place, you wonder how they did come in second, but they were really good. Natalie, Lexi, Abby, and Brandy were also first in the 4x1. Second team in the pack was Brandy in the 200 meter. Natalie, Lexi, Abby, and Brandy were also second in the 4x2. Third team All-Pac was Julia Fike in the pole vault, Brooke Franz in the 800, Maddie in the 1600, and Brandy in the 100. So our kids are excelling at many different events. Our boys team First place, we had 3. Logan Steppenbacher in the pole vault. That was his 2nd year in a row. Anthony Watkins, first year ever doing the long jump. He came in first place. And Nathan Skalski had a strong showing as a junior and also as a senior, first place. Second team, Ryan Steppenbacher. And then third team, Peyton Franks in the discus and Mason Cabot in the 3200. And then if I do go back really quickly, we had 3 kids qualify for regionals, which was a huge accomplishment again because we're Division I in track. So we go against the best of the best. And we had 3 kids make it to the regionals at Amherst. Zach Radon, Nathan Skalski, and Anthony Watkins. So special recognition to those kids. Academically, baseball, again, 3.2. Softball, 3.547. Track, 3.505. Overall, 3.419. And then all of our sports, you add them up, 3.435. Which, again, this is the 2nd year in a row. I believe we were over a 3.4 as an athletic department. So our kids achieve in so many ways. And then finally, remember I said the first 2 and this last one, pretty cool graphics that we have. Looking forward to next year. August 30th is our first football game at Revere, week 1. This is going to be our social media presence, the first 2 and then this last one. So the same company that runs our athletic website also does this as well. We signed up for it, and our social media presence on Facebook and Twitter is going to be out there with the best in the state of Ohio. So we're really proud of that, and we're going to be able to showcase our kids in a first-class manner. So we're excited about that, and we're excited about next year in the new conference. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
No, thank you. Interesting.
Next up, we have Amy Doty for a review of our 5-year technology plan update.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of where we are and where we're headed, or where we'd like to head, I guess, with your permission. So in 2015, you adopted a 5-year technology plan, which included providing students in grades 7 to 12 with one-to-one devices. So 2019-20 is the 5th year of that plan. So we are finishing. Everyone in grades 7 through 12 this year will have a device in their hands. And so now we're looking at where do we go from here? And so I wanted to give you some things to think about this year so that we'll have a direction for where to head in the future. So right now, our biggest thing with the technology is it is there to support our students' learning and to support our staffs in directing that learning or any of the other business of our district. So we have student access to curriculum materials, which are almost all online now. We have changes in security and management things so that we can allow our students to focus on learning. One of those contracts you looked at tonight for Securely was part of that. We have technology curriculum updates, which also was in the board, I believe in the appendixes tonight, our K-12 technology curriculum update. Giving student training on how to care for their devices and what the appropriate use of them is for school-related activities, and then doing more staff professional development as we have now all staff with students in their classes having one-to-one devices. And then the final is kind of the icing on the cake, and that is we are finally getting off the ground with maker spaces, which is a space to create and innovate and explore. And by technology, it's everything from cardboard boxes and markers to the higher tech things, like the little robots that we're going to have donated to us from the National Inventors Hall of Fame. So we'll have some exciting things coming for you in the future there. So we're looking at the physical needs. So we're reviewing, specifically tonight, I want to talk to you about the physical needs. So looking at the student one-to-one, looking at the needs for pre-K to 6 where they do not have one-to-one, looking at the labs for curricular needs that can't happen on a student Chromebook, and then looking at the classroom footprint. So in the classes at this time, we have the old smart boards, which are kind of behind this device. And those devices are, well, depending on which room you walk into, They are anywhere from 10 to 15 years old. So they are meant to last 8 to 10 years on the smart board. So we are well beyond what we thought we would be able to get out of them. And they're dying at a pretty rapid rate. And then just looking at the technology needs for all staff, like the treasurer's office needed an update, was that 1 year, 2 years ago, Jen?
It was when it first started, so.
Okay, so 2 years ago. And then, cafeteria and their point of sale, and so just all of those staffing needs across the district. So currently, in preschool, they have one iPad cart that they share among the teachers, and then of course the staff have devices. K-1 students have 2-to-1 Chromebook convertible touchscreen devices. So it basically looks like a Chromebook, but when you can flip it over and carry it like a tablet, and it has a touchscreen like an iPad would. And they are quite happy with those devices, from what I understand. And Mrs. Greathouse is nodding her head yes. And then 2nd through 6th grade, they have 2-to-1 carts of a mixture of MacBooks and Chromebooks. The MacBooks were originally purchased for 5th and 6th grade. And then we've basically filled in with Chromebook carts as we've rolled out the 1-to-1. The Chromebook carts that used to be at the junior high and high school have moved down so that we could continue to get use out of them as long as we could. And then grades 7 through 11 have the 1-to-1 student Chromebooks. So moving forward, preschool, I met with the teachers and they said they are quite happy with just having the one iPad cart that they can share, but they would like a set of 6 of those touchscreen devices for each of their 3 classrooms, like the K-1 have, and they would, if possible, like to look at this interactive table. If you have been to the Buckeye branch of the Medina Library, they have this small interactive table. It's about a 3-foot by 2-foot. If you get a chance to go play with it, they are incredibly expensive, so we're holding off on that and looking for some alternatives that might give them the same features. But it would be a really neat thing to have in the preschool. K-1 seem very happy with their convertible touches, so we're going to leave them at 2-to-1 devices. They didn't really feel like they wanted to go 1-to-1. They thought 2-to-1 was appropriate. 2nd grade through 6th grade have been begging me since the day I took this job, when do we get to be 1-to-1? When do we get to be 1-to-1? They use their devices a lot, and they really would like to be 1-to-1. So within the budgeted money that was already there for the old plan and repurposing devices, we are going to be able to do that this year. They will be 1-to-1 2nd through 6th grade in carts in their rooms. So they won't go home with the students, but everybody will be 1-to-1 2nd through 6th grade. So I'm pretty excited that we were able to do that. And the reason we were able to do that is twofold. So as you know on your computers, that you'll get these things saying you'll update your Google Chrome or update your OS, or you'll get these update things. So it used to be, even 5 years ago when we first started this program, Google operating system basically had an end of life of about 3 years. So we could only use our Chromebooks for about 3 years, and then they basically expire, which means you could still use it. You could still use it as a web browser, but it wouldn't get any of the updates, which meant if a curriculum company updates and needs the latest features, they wouldn't work with our curriculum anymore. They also wouldn't give us security updates anymore, and that was a problem. So they have changed their policy, and that expiration date that used to be about 3 years is now going to last 4 to 5 years. So the Chromebooks that we originally were saying we have to replace every 3 years, we're going to start with every 4 years. And if that works, we might be able to expand it to 5 years, which makes a huge difference when you can spread them out, make them last a little longer, which I think we do an incredibly great job of at this district. And I'm saying that as I've only been involved with that for about 3 years. The people before me have kept those devices working. So major kudos to Carl and Kyle for keeping everything up and running for us. And then 7 to 12, we will continue with the 1-to-1 student Chromebooks that go home with the students, and then we collect them for the summer and do needed repairs and things like that. What we didn't include in the original plan only looked at specifically student devices, what they were going to have in their hands and use. And what we needed to consider then were those other things that also need to be replaced. So we could get on some sort of replacement cycle so that we didn't just get to the end and go, oh no, our smart boards are 15 years old, what are we going to do? It's like, what are we going to do about replacing these? So This replacement plan would be update all of the interactive displays. So those are the smart board replacements, and you're looking at one right now. This is currently in grades kindergarten, first grade, part of second grade. And we are finishing off the primary building this year, so they will all have them in the primary building for next year. This is an interactive display board. The particular one that we are looking at is called a Clever Touch Plus. It will last for 10 years. It does not need a projector, which means I don't buy replacement bulbs anymore, which is a big savings. I don't have to clean projector filters anymore, which is lovely as well. So we don't have those overheating issues. So it took one entire component out of the picture. It's a backlit LED, and it has a built-in computer on it. So it is a standalone device. The teacher can project from their screen to it wirelessly and wired, but it has its own little Google Chrome built in, and so they can go directly to the internet from that device. They don't need to have something attached.
May I interrupt?
Absolutely.
1 second? Are they all freestanding like this?
No.
Okay.
So in the classrooms, they're all mounted to their walls.
Okay.
And every grade level got to pick their height. So kindergarten, they're significantly lower than they will be in 5th grade. So they're mounted on the walls, just actually pretty much where the smart boards were in each classroom. We do have, we will have at the primary and the intermediate one like this that's on a mobile stand. That's going to be for the conference room. After some discussion with the principals about whether they wanted to replace the one that was on the wall or do the stand, we basically decided the stand was the best option, because if it's not needed for the conference room, they could take it to the science lab for a presentation, or to the media center, or to the gym if they needed to show a movie there. So we just decided for the 2 conference rooms we would do this mobile stand. But everybody else, they're attached to the wall, which takes up a little less footprint place. And the other, I will just say, this particular company has incredible software, which I will come back another night to show you because it's really exciting. But they can put 10 little fingers on it at the same time and all be writing, which with the smart boards, it was one person, one finger. And if you put 2, it jerked all over the place. So that's kind of a cool new feature that is really great for students. So we've kind of got a plan where we replace about 13 every year over 10 years. So that's about $39,000 a year. The replacement plan for staff devices, looking at all of the staff, including treasurer's department and all the secretaries, everybody else. If we replace those devices every 6 years, we're looking at about $20,000 per year to keep up, our updating and replacing our staff devices. And then we are purchasing a brand new high school lab this year, which has been greatly needed. And we would replace those 2 computer labs every 6 years, and the cost on that particular lab, I believe, is about $36,000. And we would buy a new lab every 3 years. If I'm saying this right. So in 3 years, the lab will go to the high school this year. In 3 years, that lab will move to the junior high, and the high schools will get upgraded. So we'll get 6 years out of the devices, but doing that kind of rotation so that the high school, where it's most needed, always has the up-to-date devices that can handle the kind of media and art software that they use. So that's for our graphics classes, our web design, that type of class.
Did you say that cost was also absorbed into our current? Okay.
No, the current we've budgeted about $180,000 per year for the student one-to-one devices
For the past 5 years.
For the past 5 years. So moving forward, I guess that's part of what I'm asking you to think about is if we continue that $180,000, we can continue what we're doing right now, which is K-1, or pre-K to 2, we can kind of do a 2-to-1, and then 2nd grade through 12th grade, the 1-to-1. Staying at that $180,000 for 2 reasons. Google's lasting longer, and second, we were able to do consortium buys with Neonet. They just started it this year, and we were able to get a greatly reduced cost on the Chromebooks. And the last piece of that is Jen got me onto these energy rebates, and for the 755 Chromebooks that we purchased this year, we're getting a $5 rebate on each one as part of the Energy Star rebates. So I got that pre-approved. So
Are you finding that Chromebooks have a good enough life?
yeah, we were a little concerned about the very first Acers we bought, just because don't have as sturdy of a shell as the subsequent devices we've purchased, I'm not worried at all about the next generation that we bought. So, yeah, they're doing really well, so I'm pretty pleased with that.
Amy, as
Yes.
you're cycling the new stuff in, the stuff that we own, are you able to market it or trade it in? Like some of these projectors, well, they're still relevant to some businesses. Can we sell them or can we get rid of them?
So, right now, by the time that we get rid of anything, it doesn't work. Like right now, the things that we are getting rid of are, like I just got rid of a bunch of, the old black gateways that Vern might remember, and even some of the white gateways before that. That's what I'm pitching. So this stuff is 15 years old, and even the recyclers won't give us money. They want us to pay them to take it away. So we're not able to. But if there is anything that has monetary value, you can bet that I will try to find a way to do that with it. But most of the things are either broken or completely obsolete.
Amy, can I clarify, for the
Yes.
180 per year, that would be any student devices?
That would cover student devices,
Plus,
pre-K through 12.
plus the replacement of boards, plus the
No.
staff, plus, no.
The 180 is only student devices. The other amounts are, let's see, interactive displays, approximately $39,000 a year. And that includes the mounts and everything with those. Staff devices would be approximately $20,000 a year. And the lab replacement is approximately $36,000 every 3 years. So that's really $12,000. So the total cost would be $251,000
Per year.
per year.
About an additional 70.
Mm-hmm.
You find more rebates.
And I will tell, well, and I mean, the rebates aren't gonna take a lot off of it, but I will tell you, we need to do these things, we just didn't have a plan for them, so we've been squeaking by. I mean, we've still got devices in teachers' hands that are 10 years old. You know, they're using some iMacs that were literally purchased in 2009. That's a long time for a computer to last that long. I
We
mean,
thought that the max would last that
Yes.
long. We did.
yeah, well,
We did.
we did, and they have, but they're getting really, really old and slow. And Apple even says about every 6 years, you know, they may last us a little longer. And boy, we're getting a lot of those first MacBook Airs that we bought for students. We're going to continue to use them as long as possible, but we will get to the point where you simply can't update anymore because it's just too old of a processor. So. But yeah, we do. We just shuffle things around, and well, it's not good enough for this use yet, but we could still use it for second graders because they don't have to do state testing on them. So we're trying to move things around. But yeah, so the total cost would be about $251,000 a year, and you know that's just replacement. We aren't looking at additional new things. We're just looking at maintaining our fleet and the things that we've provided to teachers and students. And then the extension, this is the icing part. We're gonna have a maker space in every building, so it will go where the computer lab used to be at the back of the high school library. So the last computer lab that was left in there, has been dismantled, and those devices are being repurposed as much as possible. And then that's where the makerspace will be there. At the junior high, it will also be in the library, kind of that front area where the tables are. And then at the elementary library, it's that middle section that used to be a computer lab in the library. So those are my summer projects, is to get those all up and running. And right now, it's all going to be, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to turn that. It's all going to be donations, and then I'm seeking grants. So I have approached the Buckeye Foundation, and they were interested in the idea. And I was approached actually by the Medina Women's Group, that they would be interested in helping us as well. And then I have also been meeting with a couple of our local businesses who have expressed an interest in the idea as well. So I am hoping to be able to do that without asking for any money from you all. I just think that that's a really great place to go with our students. So the board request is just to think about all of this. Our plan funding ends this year for the previous 5 years, and to kind of look with me at the future and see what you think is appropriate, what you think we can handle financially, and give me some guidance for where I go from here. All right, any questions?
So timeline, if you're thinking about new money going forward, what would your suggested timeline be?
I would like to know by February of next year if we can afford to go down this path. Because that gives me time that if we can't, to figure out where I scale back and rearrange the things that we have to make sure that we can still do some of the things that we are doing with the technology and that we can support, and if we have to make changes in curriculum or other things because of that, we would have time to prepare for that. So February would be lovely for me. All right,
Thank you.
thank
Any
you.
questions for Amy? Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Just wanted to say both of you are very passionate about your areas and dedicated to finding the best opportunities for our kids, and the financial aspects obviously you're considering. We would appreciate that from both the athletic side as well as the technology side. Amy, one question, where do you feel we are in comparing us with the other county schools and where we offer our technology?
I am so glad you asked that question because we are at the top. Other schools are now catching up with us. So Medina is going 1-to-1 this year. We're in our 5th year. And they've now decided to do this. So K-12 1-to-1 for Medina this year. Wadsworth is going K-12 1-to-1 this year. And part of their joining NeoNet is why we had this beautiful consortium buy this year with Medina and Wadsworth in there, that we got these great prices with all of them by. But I would say we have led this. So other schools are catching up with us now as far as having the 1-to-1 for the students in lots of grade levels. Wadsworth adopted these Clever Touch boards district-wide. They went K-12 boob all one year. Not quite sure how they did that, but they went with the same device that we're going with. And I will tell you that the rep has stopped by and she said the things that we are doing and our teachers are doing with those boards are beyond anything that she sees in any other district. So it's pretty exciting to be at the top and providing our students that kind of opportunity.
How is the backbone of the system?
Hey, we are doing well. Carl is amazing. I cannot say enough about him and what he is able to do. He has a separate budget for the networking and infrastructure. Last year, he really just did a very small amount because we had limited budget. This year, he was able to have a little bit bigger piece of the pie to get some more things done. So he's keeping up our network and keeping it so that our access speeds are fast enough for the students to get on and do what they need to do, and that when we have state testing, we don't have issues with internet connectivity, so that's been pretty amazing.
So that question should go to him as to when he's going to save that backbone severe update.
Well, and I would tell you what he's doing is he refreshes as we go. So I know one of the projects he's looking at this year is the service between our internet service for some reason goes through the board office and out to the support services. And so support services really doesn't have very good connectivity at all. And they do need it. Some of the machines, some of the diagnostics that they do for the buses and things are run through a computer, and they need a little bit better out there. So I know that's one of the projects is updating those connections. So that's one of the projects I know he's going to work on this year. So yeah, it's a constant vigilance every year, do a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the superintendent's recommendations, please.
Okay. Item A, final reading of student curriculum. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the student curriculum modern controversy curriculum. A copy of the curriculum is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix B. Item B, Buckeye Elementary Handbook. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the Buckeye Elementary Handbook for the 2019-2020 school year as submitted. A copy of the elementary handbook is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix E. Item C, Buckeye Junior High Handbook. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the Buckeye Junior High Handbook for the 2019-2020 school year as submitted. A copy of the Junior High School Handbook is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix F. The new item D is approval of Department of Athletics Student Handbook. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the Buckeye Local Schools Department of Athletics Student Handbook as submitted. A copy of the Athletic Student Handbook is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix H. New item E, approval of high school fees. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the additional Buckeye High School fees for the 2019-20 school year. A copy of the high school fee list is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix J. New item F, approval of copier paper purchase. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the purchase of copier paper for all school buildings on the Buckeye Local Schools campus from CPG Contract Paper Group Incorporated for a total of $22,214.80. A copy of the bid list is attached to the board members' agendas as Appendix K. New item G, approval of a 2019-20 foreign exchange student. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve Julian Close as a Buckeye High School 2019-20 foreign exchange student. Julian is from Belgium and is sponsored by Cultural Homestay International. New item H, free and reduced lunch program. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education grant approval for the district's participation in the 2019 school year in the federal free and reduced lunch program. New item I, 2019-20 school lunch fees. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the Buckeye Food Service recommendation for the 2019-20 lunch prices for Buckeye local schools to remain the same as the 2018-19 school year. New item J, agreement approval. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the renewal contract with West Interactive Services Corporation for the 12-month unlimited notification service and the secure file secure document delivery for the 2019-20 school year. A copy of the agreement is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix L. Will be kept on file in the Treasurer's Office. New item K, agreement approval. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the renewal contract with Frontline Services for absence and substitute management and applicant tracking at a fixed fee of $5,810.32. A copy of the renewal notice is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix M and will be kept on file in the Treasurer's Office. New item L, agreement approval. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the contract with Securely to purchase a 3-year license for 2,100 Chrome tools for 3 annual payments of $5,250. A copy of the quote is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix R and will be kept on file in the Treasurer's Office.
Motion for these superintendent's recommendations.
Motion.
A second.
Second.
Any questions on any of these items? Roll call, please.
Stahl,
Yes.
Haverchi,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Harco,
Yes.
Kunkelman.
Yes. New business.
Item A, first reading of the following policies. Resolved that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the policies listed below as presented. Copies of the complete policies are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix N. Number 1, Policy 0100, Social Media, Revised Definitions. Item 2, Policy 3215, Use of Tobacco by Professional Staff. Item 3, Policy 4215, Use of Tobacco by Classified Staff. Item 4, Policy 5113.02, School Choice Options. Item 5, Policy 5512, Use of Tobacco. Policy 5610, Removal, Suspension, Expulsion, and Permanent Exclusion of Students. Item 7, Policy 5610.03, Emergency Removal of Students. Number 8, Policy 6320, Purchasing and Bidding. Item 9, Policy 6325, Procurement, Federal Grants and Funds. Item 10, Policy 6605, Crowdfunding. Item 11, Policy 7434, Use of Tobacco on School Premises. Item 12, Policy 7540.02, Web Accessibility, Content, Apps, and Services. Item 13, Policy 8400, School Safety. And Item 14, Policy 8500, Food Services. Item B is first reading of student curriculum. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education review the attached courses of study adoption. Number 1, French 1 course of study. Number 2 is French 2 course of study. Item 3 is art history. Number 4 is sports history. And number 5 is K-12 technology curriculum 2019. A copy of the curriculum will be attached to board members' agendas as Appendix O. And item C, approval of new State of Ohio learning standards. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education review and approve the new State of Ohio social and emotional learning standards that will be incorporated into the Buckeye curriculum. A copy of the learning standards will be attached to board members' agendas as Appendix P.
These are all first readings, so no actions on these items. Let's move on to personnel items.
Personnel, item A, certified personnel. Recommends the Buckeye Board of Education approve the following certified personnel items as presented. Number 1, employment. Recommends the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Hannah Hartley, kindergarten teacher, effective August 19th, 2019, For the 2019-20 school year, Ms. Hartley will be paid per the negotiated agreement at BA0 Step 2 for a salary of $43,655. Item 2, employment. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Andrew Kosia, 4th grade job share, effective August 19th, 2019. For the 2019-20 school year, Mr. Kosia will be paid per the negotiated agreement at BA Step 0 for a salary of $20,210.50. Item 3, revised contract approval. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Jessica Barlock, 5th grade teacher, effective August 19th, 2019. For 2019-20 school year, Ms. Barlock will be paid per the negotiated agreement at bachelor's plus 15, step 2, for a salary of $45,272. Item 4, resignation. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education accept the resignation of Kevin Jacob, high school principal, effective July 31st, 2019. Item B, certified substitutes. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the attached list of certified substitutes tutors recommended by the Medina County Schools ESC to work on an as-needed basis for the 2019-20 school year. A copy of the list is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix Q. Item C, classified personnel. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the following classified personnel items as presented. Number 1, change of employment. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire John Kropchak, head custodian for Buckeye High School, effective August 1st, 2019. Mr. Kropchak previously held the position of junior high custodian. He will be paid according to the negotiated agreement. Number 2, change of assignment. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve a change of assignment for Deborah Anderson from elementary second shift custodian to junior high second shift custodian effective August 1st, 2019. Ms. Anderson will be paid according to the negotiated agreement. Item 3, continuing contract. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve a continuing contract for Maureen Maxwell, high school secretary, effective August 29th, 2019. And item D is supplemental contract approval as presented.
All right. We have a motion on these personnel items, please.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any questions or comments on these items? Roll call.
Mattson,
Yes.
Barco,
Yes.
Havarchi,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. And we have some donations.
We do. Item 15, recommend the Buckeye Board of Education accept and recognize the following donations to Buckeye local schools as presented. Item A, a donation of 4 yards of mulch from Smith Brothers Company to be placed in the elementary front circle planters plus delivery. Estimated cost of donation $121. And item B, a donation of $5,694.97 from the Buckeye Athletic Boosters for the baseball dugout. Item C, an additional donation of furniture from Westfield Insurance Company as a total estimated cost of $7,475.
A motion, please.
So moved.
Second, any comments? Roll call.
Barco,
Yes.
Havarchi,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Before we go to board comments, I'd like to ask Mr. Morgan, is there a need to go back to the discussion items?
I think so. Field trips?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Good catch. Good. So we had talked at the last board meeting about where the district's financial obligation would be in regards to the field trips, and we talked about how that would be set up, and the board was asked to look at different policies, procedures, rules, guidelines, whatever, and come back for a discussion today. So we're hoping to gain some insight on, I think our verbiage that we stated was something to try and be a little bit consistent and clear to our staff, and that would be items that are competitive in nature with that.
School sanctioned competitions and or performances. And I think where we wanted the discussion is what constitutes the school sanction. Like how do you define a competition? Because we have student activity groups competing, but at what level is the competition do we want to support?
We currently don't allow or condone self-transportation.
Correct.
And I know there's some questions about whether the group is school. Such as I know we have Valley City Street Fair coming up, and historically we've had cheerleaders have been down there for that. Is that something that is the school doing it? And are we transporting? And then the question is what's the difference if they come here to get on a bus versus going there? And those are kind of things that are really difficult. I mean, is that a booster event, or is that these are all things that are wide open.
I think typically it's accepted practice that if it's in the community, that they can self-transport because they were coming to the school within the community as well.
Yeah, that's my sort of thought on those kind of things.
Versus going to Pinnacle, they would have to get school transportation if they were doing it as a school activity or organization, which is out of district.
Right. That makes sense to you? Art?
Yes, and I guess I'm thinking about what is the process? So someone is requesting a field trip. Who are they requesting it to? And who makes the approval of it? I guess I want to know how the process
Our
works.
current paperwork is the principal,
Okay,
is submitted to the principal, and then they approve it, and if it's, then they send off to transportation, and it's posted and handled in that regards.
so if it were a high school club, they would do the same thing? It would all go to the principal.
Now, of course, if they didn't tell us it was a field trip and they drove there, we wouldn't know about it, but that would not be one that we would have approved. And so I think kind of that competition piece for school sponsored is if we have chess club and they want to schedule a scrimmage with, or a competition with another district, that's not in a school approved club yet. And they would be representing us, but that's kind of a gray area to say what's different between that and academic challenge, where it is a school sponsored club and they are competing against maybe the same school that the chess club does, and we pay for their transportation, but that's where this all kind of came up. We found out that we were having a lot of trips that were sponsored by the district, and our input, or our feeling was the district didn't want to take on that responsibility, or to what level do they want to take it on, so we have some clarity going
To
forward.
maybe try to make it more clear and uniform that if we're charging a fee for this entry fee or what have you, do we also expect them to pay for the transportation, or does the district expect to pay for that? Like the Cedar Point physics trip, they obviously pay for their Cedar Point ticket, but we pay for transportation. When I went to the film festival, the kids paid for all their tickets to go, but we paid for transportation to get them there. So those types of things, whichever way the board's pleasure is great. I just feel like I would like to know it better, direct that when it comes to the bills. And if we know ahead of time, then the principal, we could let them know, hey, these are the things, or maybe you wanna say, we're willing to pay X, and the principal's responsible for saying yes to this one, no to that one. I have no idea how that would look. Do we just go?
Are they charged by, the driver, or is it a blanket charge?
A blanket charge
Okay, so it doesn't matter what driver they
At the
get.
highest rate,
at the highest rate.
so it is
Oh,
by
it is.
driver, but it's at the highest rate, and then if it's the lesser paid driver, then the cost is reduced, is my understanding. It's not reduced, we still collect that, and
No, cause it's already assessed. Like, you would already have told them, if you take the 7th grade trip, for example, we had to go based on the highest driver rate and overtime, and then they had to collect it at that time.
So then what happens to the money?
And they always need to be spent on kids.
So it remains in the principal's O18. Okay,
And I will tell you, sometimes it's undercut, so you don't have extra. And well, this is the first year we tried to do it that way, so it seemed to work okay at that level. It was shorted on the elementary field trips though, so the O18 was covering that. And one of the things I've done to try to help this year to get us through is it's all coming out of their OE-18s. So if there's a shortage, the OE-18 is helping the kids that way if they're in overages, so that it would hopefully wash till we had direction. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Well, the only money going into O18s is what they raise, right? Or is there other funds going into?
We created field trip lines for each building.
Oh, okay.
So any field trip fees, the revenue went into that account and the expense came out of that account. So that the pretzel sales or whatever it might be at the elementary is not necessarily, they're in the two different accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So the only time that would have to be used is if there was a shortage in what they estimated and collected.
Mm-hmm.
So then their general team's gonna have to carry that shortfall.
Jen, you see the breakdown from those expenses on the O18 account for it. Did you know that the high school's going on this field trip? Do you see that come through?
No.
Just so you don't know that.
I'm very aware of the elementary ones and the intermediate ones because it's by a grade and it's one time, so we are communicating very good with that. And the junior high was the 7th grade trip.
So really, the only place where we need some guidance is the high school.
Mainly. But I have a feeling that once you've made the guidance, junior high has everyone has student activities.
Right.
They all may want to.
If they want a field trip, they would have the means to.
Or have the
request
guidance
it.
to know what to do.
So our assignment was just come up with an outline or some ideas, some suggestions, and I tried sketching this out for myself. It was easy, we had more time, we had no field trips, it was zero. And it was a problem, but now, is it grown exponentially, like everybody's doing it because it's there?
Definitely the high school.
So do we need to rein some of that back in and have some guidelines that say, well, just because we can do this doesn't mean that everybody gets to go wherever they wanna go, anytime they wanna go.
Definitely the high school. I would say the junior high a little bit more, but I think most of them are more career-based trips. Like
You expect like the elementary schools goes to the zoo and, but I don't know what all the field trips are for. And that's up to the principal and the superintendent or academically wrong with what we're doing, but ours just out of hand, number one. And then the second piece is dealing with all the club programs and all those self-transport. Because we didn't deal with it before. Now, all of a sudden everybody, do we send, and the struggle I had was to try and figure out draw the line on what's academically relevant. Is chess club to be discriminated against academic challenge? And they're both school sanctioned programs.
Well, they weren't. The chess club wasn't. I mean, it was a club that was started.
No.
No, I thought we were doing okay.
And those students weren't paying a fee, where academic challenge students were paying a fee. Correct, Mr. Coleman?
I think part of it is you get clubs that aren't board approved that start to get together and they want to be recognized and then they want to do coordinator, organize like OTAs and they want to do their organized things and do them and that's fantastic, but we don't have them recognized at a board level necessarily.
But we have transfer chess club though?
That's what brought this all up, is that all of a
So
sudden.
then the answer should be then is, should be not transfer them and just, it's not a club. It's just a group of kids getting together.
I would say to you that's probably more true than false.
I mean, if Ken wants to.
I don't know who their chaperone was either. Not that that makes or breaks it, but I don't. I mean, we don't have a great group
Well,
volunteers.
with a group that's not sponsored, we don't approve the chaperone or the advisor for the group,
Right.
and we don't collect fees. Are we taking on responsibility without having any control over it?
Sure, because we're putting adults in charge of these kids doing something that we're not controlling.
Well, we're not even putting adults in charge of it.
Is it an after-school activity that teacher sponsoring like a study session?
And I don't
They are employees that are.
And I don't know I don't even know who the instructors that was supervising. I don't want them to feel like, oh, it's not that, it's just about what board, how many clubs do you want, how many activities do you want, maybe that chess club would be appropriate to blend into another one and it's a joint club. But if we're going to transport them, I feel like they, at the minimum, need to be board approved with a board policy.
Absolutely, I agree.
I agree on that.
That I think is very definite.
And then,
It should be.
and then I think you would have discussion on how many trips do you want something like mock trial to do versus a chemistry class versus whatever it may be, right? So
Well,
that's,
and that should be submitted on their budget and purpose statement, because that would identify what their cost line could be.
if the club is expected to pay for transportation, but that's never been a directive from us.
I'm not saying that was,
Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
that's one of the ways you could identify
I'm
is
sorry.
that if it's approved then by the board, then you're already clear on what their trip numbers would be. And then if it, I mean, we kind of did that with BOAG, we identified how many trips and we determined how many we could allow that we would pay for, and that decreased the occurrences.
For BOAG.
Yeah.
But that's, I go back, I think I said this last time, I just would like to see it budgeted, so it's easier for you and with the building principals in their particular realms to control those budgets for those groups. And I think chess club is a club that we should hear from the building principal and say, hey, I'd like to have this club recognized, or I don't want to have it, because I think the question is not whether chess club's relevant or not, but there's probably 10 other clubs that are similar to chess club right now that do similar things, and the principals have to decide, hey, are we going to sponsor all these clubs and what and they're all great clubs, they all do certain things, but we can't transport everybody, and I don't want to call out clubs or anything like that, but some have more academic benefit than others, but they all have benefits.
And I think
that's-
some of them have more of a curricular base, like academic challenge probably has a set number of meets or, I don't know what
Oh,
you
sure.
call them, but I'm gonna call them meet, I don't know.
Event.
Events, and what does that mean, and does that mean Mount Trial needs to have the same, or do they have it different, that they only need to go 2 times, 1 time? But I feel like we need a little bit more clarification to give them, so they know, and if an expectation is that they're supposed to include that in their budget next year, not this year, because we've already done it, but next year I would wanna communicate that to them so they could adjust their student field.
Well, you have the guidelines for, it has to be school sponsored, so they need to go through these groups and say, okay, which one of these need to get school sponsored? And that, they have to have a budget set up for that, so that, those are certain guidelines, they have to cross that hurdle first. And then from there, they can budget, okay, how many does Mount Trial need, how many does Academic Challenge need, how many does Chess Club need? Just so there's budgets and they're sticking to it, because literally, it can get out of control.
Sure, and like ski club, they're charged with, they have to pay for their transportation, but other ones aren't necessarily. And how does that work out for everyone?
And maybe that's part of their budget, okay, included in this club are 2 away matches and 2 home matches. Okay, if we decide as a club to go to a third, it's gonna cost us, what did Mr. Pollock say, $150?
Yeah, I forget now.
What it was, but he had a budgeted number per bus trip, and that's like, okay, that needs to be divided. If there's 50 kids in the group, hey, that's not bad, if there's 10, oof,
Yeah, for everyone to pitch in a little bit extra.
how's that gonna work?
So am I hearing that, the club needs to be, before we'll transport, the club needs to be board approved?
I would say yes, for insurance purposes, that has to happen.
And that we're willing to support some transportation up to a reasonable amount? Is that what we're saying? I mean, what's reasonable?
Yeah,
Gotta set a budget, yeah, the building principals have to come up with that in their budget line, and then that you guys agree with.
I mean, we have no idea how many clubs there are out there, And it would be whoever this new building principal is, would have to sit down and,
I think
figure that out.
it's exploded within like the past 3 to 5 years. I think they've had a bunch of new groups that we've seen they had before. I can't even begin to name them all, but I know Dungeons and Dragons started last year, and Blanket Buddies has started, Chess Club has started,
Who's a STEM club?
STEM Club has started, and a lot of them went on trips, not all of them, but a lot of them.
And and they aren't all paying fees.
They're not paying enough fees to cover the cost of their
Um,
transportation.
And I don't know where the
some of
fee
it's pay no fee,
conversation,
period.
because that may be that those clubs that are paying fees might be associated with those advisors that are being paid a stipend too, I don't know. I haven't researched that, but do you know if that's the case?
It's always come into discussion, but never, there's no set guidelines or anything.
What is always going to be?
Whether it's who gets charged a fee, how much fee there was,
Okay.
is it for transportation, is for going to pay the stipend if there is one. I don't know, at least I don't know those answers.
Maybe that's something that we submit in a budget and purpose statement that we could then review.
And would the board's desire to be that fee pays for the stipend and transportation? Their fundraising efforts, their fee, like all their revenue has to pay for supplemental transportation and activities?
For a club?
Do you know how much your fee was?
It was only $20 a student.
That was for academic challenge?
Academic challenge, yeah,
How many kids did you have in academic?
about 20.
$400 then?
I don't think we got collected from everyone, because we had a fundraiser that didn't get collected until very late in the season.
If we're just using that because you're here, so you have $400 potentially to collect from the kids. And how many trips did you guys go on?
This year, only one half the season, so two.
2 trips?
Two.
So it'd be $300 for the bus per, right?
Okay.
So it's
Typical year, there's like 4 or 5, isn't it?
Yeah, because of the other half of the season.
That blows my numbers out.
Sorry.
I thought I was in the
Yeah,
black.
no,
I
it's-
was in the black. We got the problem solved. We made money, I forget what. Thanks, Neil. Mathematics wise, what?
I know the numbers, you gotta fudge them a little bit.
Alright.
That didn't help.
No,
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 it doesn't.
no, it doesn't cover.
I know we have an issue in transportation about being able to cover all of these. And so, we also have the issue of wanting kids to be involved in clubs and the financial hardship that can cause on families. And balancing those is the real crux of it. But obviously, we've got a lot of troops traveling all over.
I think you could argue that everybody can make something academic out of everything if they want to. And somewhere you have to draw the line.
Yes.
You know, you just have Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't know anything about Dungeons, but they argue there's an academic benefit to that, but.
They haven't tried it yet, but.
Yeah, so you jump to or the blanket body, so that's a wonderful social thing you're doing, and it's a tremendous program, but how do you argue the academic benefit of that, other than it's a great social program? And I'm sure some people come along and say, you know, they can figure out the academics out of that.
Well, we're gonna be approving some new standards for social and emotional wellness.
So we have to somehow, the building principals have to be judicious with their budget, and say, you know, I love blanket body, you're gonna do a wonderful job, but I can't transport you around town, and that's the end of it.
Or I can only do it one time.
Yeah, you know, so there's gotta be some, a budget, and as an advantage, this is, because we're now reading uncharted territory, we had to discuss this before. So now, maybe the first year doesn't work so much, you have to be a little flexible, and then next year, you can give this, more than 1 year project, give this our hand, because we went from 0 to 90 miles an hour, and now we say, well, we gotta stop this, put the brakes on something, how we figure this out.
Would it be appropriate, as an example, let's say blanket buddies, if they were restricted, I don't know how many field trips they've taken, but if they were restricted and the group students themselves said, we'd like to do these 3 trips, if we fundraise, that would be in our budget and purpose statement, that would cover the cost, can we then do these activities, obviously after school, wouldn't be as near a big a deal as during school, but would the board be open to, here's what we'll allow, anything beyond that could be sponsored or supported by the members of the group, if they wanna go beyond that?
So could they make the pitch just like when we have the Eagle Scouts make the pitch to us?
They could do that in the budget and purpose statement when we send that, you would see what their.
Right, but the blanket.
I wouldn't want all this to come to the board.
No.
though.
No, but we don't include the Eagle Scout, do we? That's just he's coming and telling us what they're gonna do, and superintendent gives the A or nay, we don't vote on that. You know, just, somehow to have an understanding of what they're doing.
Maybe to see what I could do is run, if I can get the number of kids in each group and what fee was associated with each group, what their expenses were, but what field trips they took. Maybe I could get an idea of where the groups are standing to see how much, what's the budget look like. I mean, I feel like it's hard to throw darts at the wall to not know, so I think maybe that data would help us at least evaluate, oh, I had no idea we didn't cover enough in that group at all, or wow, we are way off on this one and we need to adjust. I mean,
You think in.
particularly if it's been discussed before and not addressed.
You think transportation, they'll have a list that in the 2019 school year, we went on all these extra trips that were not bus runs. This was for chess club, 4 hours.
But it said he has that in his
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
then we present that. Okay, if we have that, then we have an idea of what is it, wait a second, this is a pretty good plan for us. And to start highlighting some of those items, and go through much of that way. This is a starting point.
I can at least bring you guys some data to say this is what we're showing, this is what I'm thinking. We might go from there.
Yeah, I think some information like that would be helpful. I just don't wanna see our kids, I mean, I understand charging a fee for a club to cover some expenses for the club, but I don't want these exorbitant fees of joining a club because you're gonna pay for transportation for everything that you need to do in that club. I mean, they're already paying school fees, and I don't wanna see them have to pay so much money to be part of a club.
It's also a question about whether we should put controls on there so that we don't count all these things that have to go to.
Right.
You know, maybe the ones that they narrow the numbers down.
I agree.
The other thing is, for these clubs, are we charging the highest rate driver for those?
We haven't charged clubs anything,
Okay.
which is how it came to my attention, was like, holy Moses, I had no idea that we're not charging the clubs anything. So the clubs aren't getting charged for transportation, with the exception of ski club, and the exception of 7th grade trip, obviously 8th grade trip is all done. With the,
Mohican was a slight charge, but not a big charge in the past.
the transportation was never included in part of that fee.
I'm just always saying that students.
But the student fee, there was a student fee to Mohegan, and then the elementary grade level ones have always been paid for transportation and the fee. So K6, the expectation is the board doesn't pay for anything, and that is, and by doing it through an 018, that is what happened. And that is one advantage that the principals would disagree with me on, is I like them out of 018s because the onus is on them to help cover it if someone's not turning something in, or you were banking on a donation and you didn't get it, and now you kind of see the impact of, oh, I didn't get that donation, what's happening? So like, if chemistry wanted to go to Cedar Point again, or physics or whatever that passes, pull it out of the 018 field trip line, and then if they don't make all the expenses, then the teams cover that.
That'll help the principals make decisions.
Well, it puts a little bit more back to them, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure that wouldn't be their choice, but I'm trying to come up with, I'm just trying to brainstorm on what the desires are. Doing nothing may not be the best interest for the district, like leaving status quo, I don't know is the best interest. But I can work on, for the next meeting, getting some of that data to you by the August meeting of, I can see if someone can help me get the student listing of those groups from last year. And I'll know their fees, and I can ask Craig to start pulling those field trip numbers.
Okay, appreciate that.
If a club had to pay for the transportation, what would that have looked like?
Right.
So the only thing I have is, since we're in public session and this is being recorded, I love Dungeons and Dragon kids, I love the blanket babies, don't come to my house tomorrow, okay, I love y'all. Okay.
Blanket buddies.
That's right, blanket buddies, I love them.
there anything else that we need to
I
talk
don't
about there?
believe so.
Okay. All right then, board comments, if there are any tonight. Anyone wish to comment?
Thank you for coming, thank you for presenting again.
We good? All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second? And roll call.
Havarchi,
Yes.
Barco,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Councilman,
Yes. And so 8:40.